New Intel Core Ultra 7 265K benchmark shows faster than 9950X in single core and 7950X in multi-thread at CPU Z. Intel Core Ultra 7 265K up to 10% faster in multi-threading versus Core i7 4700K reaches 4900K single core performance. It looks like the previous Intel Core Ultra 7 265K benchmark that we got to see a few days ago had some issue, as new ones have now leaked out within the same CPU Z benchmark, and some report are much higher performance figures. The Intel Core Ultra 7 265K will be the second fastest Arrow Lake CPU within the Core Ultra 200K desktop lineup. The chip will feature 20 cores, 20 threads, a base clock of 3.9 and boost clock of up to 5.5 GHz. It will also carry 33 MB of L3 cache and features a 125 watt PL1 TDP. Recent reports suggest that the chip will ship with 177 watt default PL2 and 250 watt performance PL2 modes, which users will be able to set manually. This particular benchmark runs the core boosting to their max speeds correctly, with the P cores clocking in at 5.5 GHz and E cores clocking in at 4.6 GHz. If we compare Core Ultra 7 265K against the 14700K, they have same amount of the cores, but as the hyperthreading is now not available in Core Ultra 7, thread count is only 20 threads, but with the higher base clock of 3.9 speed and 5.5 up to boost clock. In terms of performance, the Intel Core Ultra 7 265K CPU scored 919 points in the single core test and 16,274 points in multi-core test. This puts the chip 2% ahead of the 14700K in the single core and 10% ahead in the multi-core test. The single core performance matches the 14900K at its performance profile and is slightly ahead of baseline configured at 4900K. The CPU is faster than both AMD Ryzen 9 9950X and Ryzen 9 7950X CPUs in CPU Z. Through this particular benchmark showed limited IPS improvement for the Ryzen chips. As for multi-threaded performance, the CPU is right next to the Intel Core i9 4900K at baseline and also manages to stay ahead of AMD's Ryzen 9 7950X. The 10% performance difference over the Core i7 4700K is a bit low, but we can expect better figures when the final silicon is out. Other than that, some interesting figures related to the temperature are also shared with Intel Core Ultra 7 265K CPU crunching through Prime 95 torture test while running at just 75 degrees Celsius and 41 degree ideal temps. The CPU is said to feature a locked voltage of 1.2 volt. It is also mentioned that the Core Ultra 5 245K consumes around 120 to 140 watt in the FPU stress test, while the Core Ultra 7 265K manages to run at around 170 to 190 watt, while the Core Ultra 9 285K runs at 220 to 240 watt. The Core Ultra 7 265K can also run Cinebench R23 with just 65 degree temps using liquid cooling. It isn't mentioned what sort of liquid cooling is used, custom or AIO. All of this sound great, but we just want to point out that a lot of leaks related to the performance, power and temperature figures doesn't necessarily reflect the final product. There are a lot of unknown parameters, so it's still better to wait for the final review before making a bad decision. With that said, looking forward to more Intel Arrow Lake news next month, since the launch is set for 17 October. And this is the poll that the WCCF asked: which Intel Arrow Lake Core Ultra 200K CPUs are you looking forward to the most? And the higher number by 47% and 1081 votes to Core Ultra 9 to 85K. Then Core Ultra 7 up to 601 vote of 26% and 413 votes for non-K 65 watt lineup. And lastly, the Core Ultra 5 to 45K up to 227 votes.